Here we are, door 21. Almost there. I hope your stuff's wrapped, or at least bought. I know mine's not wrapped, but here we are. Let's see what we have. All right, door 21. It is over here. The big door. It is another embossing folder. This one is branches with small flowers on it. See, better that way. There you go. All right, let's see what we're going to do with this one. All right, so today we have another embossing folder. Since this is the 4th embossing folder we've had in the Advent calendar, I thought today I would do an interesting technique with it and a little less about a card. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up with this. And what this is a positive and a negative of this folder here. And what we're going to use to do this is wax paper and an iron. So while I get started, I'm going to turn on my iron to high. I'm going to let that warm up while we get started. So we have this. I have some ink over here ready to go. And I have some paper already cut. And I have our wax paper. So what we're going to do, if you have never seen this before, we're going to emboss the wax paper. And I've cut this to 5 by 7 because this is 2.5 across. Well, 2 3/4, I think this one is. Yeah, this one is 2 3/4 across. So I can go this way, and then when I turn it around and go this way, I shouldn't end up with a seam. Because when I tried this morning, I did get a little bit of a seam because I didn't push it in all the way. So I'm not too worried about overlapping because that's what I did down here, and that looks better than having the seam. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to hang this off the edge a little bit to make sure my design, which is the flowers and there's a couple butterflies in there, it goes all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to run it through here. And I didn't get a good emboss at first, so I'm going to take the 2 pieces of cardstock I did earlier as my test and put them in there to put a little more pressure on the embossing folder. So that way you can see what I'm doing instead of running it through the electric machine. So we're going to run this through. I'm just going to run this on the side here. All right, so here's embossing number 1. Now I'm going to make sure I did not flip it over. And I'm going to put it in the 2nd position down here. But I'm going to move it up just a little bit to where there's going to be a little bit of overlap. Maybe I only need the 1. Nope, I'll stick with the 2. And we're going to run this through again. All right, that wrinkled it a little bit, but it will be fine. All right, so now we're going to move this down to position 3. And it will hang off, but that's okay. We really just want to make sure it goes all the way to the end. And this time, since it kind of wanted to eat that last time, I'm going to put it in this way. Alright, so we're going to do the other side. We'll start here. We'll bring our design right up to the edge where the element is. Put the paper over the top. Emboss. Move it down here. And emboss. Now we will take our paper out. That one section did look like it embossed differently. Let me redo this part. All right, I think we're good now. Now when you see, I'll bring this up really close to the screen here. You can see the pattern in the wax paper now. So now we just have to wait for the iron to heat up. All right, so the iron is hot. So we're going to bring in a piece of paper, our wax paper, and another piece of paper on top. And for this, I'm using Nina paper. A smooth paper works well, that the wax will sit on top and not absorb into the paper. I'm also going to bring in my hot pad for my heat press and a piece of paper to protect the heat press. The heat pad and my iron from any wax that might seep out. That's excellent. Put this, whoops, let's line that back up. All right, so we have paper, wax paper, paper. Make sure that stays straight. We'll put this over the top. Take the iron, and we're just going to start in one direction and work our way to the other. You want to make sure it doesn't slide. And also make sure there's no water in this iron. It needs to be a completely dry iron. No steam. All right, that should be enough. Let's put that to the side. Pick this up. Pick this up. This up. And now you really can't see it on the screen, but I can see it in person where the wax is now on the paper. So let's see what happens now. I think one of them may have slid, but we'll see. We'll be able to cut it down and use it as a smaller panel if we need to. So now let's bring in some ink. And I'm going to be using Gina K Passionate Pink and Gina K Blue Lagoon. And I'm actually going to be using my Simon Says stamp little holder so I don't get it all over my hands. So I'm going to start with the blue, and I'm going to start with this one. And this one, let's see. I'm just going to start over here. And once we start inking, we'll see the pattern start to appear. And we'll put a little more over here. A little more over here. Now we'll come in with some of the pink. And where the two come together, they're going to blend into a really pretty purple. And we'll come in a little more blue over the top of this. A bit more pink over here. So it basically makes it a resist. And a resist pattern of what is in the folder. Let me grab some paper. I'm going to buff over this to take off any of the ink sitting on top of the wax. So let me bring this up closer to the camera. So now you can see this is the negative of what is in the embossing folder. All right, so now let's take the other one. I think this one may have shifted. We'll find out once we start coloring it. This time I'll start with the pink. And we'll go over here a little. And maybe a little over here. A little over here. Now we'll bring in the blue. And we'll come in from over here. Blend some of the purple up here. And it looks like here, it makes a pretty pattern, but it definitely streaked a little bit here. It is a lot easier to do when you have one big embossing folder. Let's see, like that. Maybe we'll put a little bit more pink in here to get a little more purple. And some over here. Okay. Close up the ink. And let's buff this off. And there we go. So now we still have this, and this you can absolutely put on a card because this still has the emboss on it. Yeah, you can see where this one did not emboss as well up here in this corner. But yeah, look at that. So now it's a completely flat paper, inked up, and yeah, it's the exact pattern, the negative and the positive of the card. So this was Crafter's Companion stamping card that I did this on. It's a little bit heavier card. And this was on the Nina card, but it's a thinner weight Nina card. So yeah, so maybe we should turn this into a card now. So now we have 4 panels. So these 2 are the negative and these 2 are the positive. All right, so let's turn them into something. All right, so here's our 2 panels, and I've decided to make them into thank you cards. And this will actually, if you make all 4, will give you a nice little set of the thank you cards. I'm saying 4 because since I did 2 and then did 2. All right, so I cut out the thanks twice. We'll use 2 here. And I have 2 of these. I'll put those to the side for later. And this was, this I got from Gina K. It's a nice one because it has the offset also. It's a nice little set. So we'll put that to the side. It's just thanks. So let's get some glue. And I'm going to glue these down. All right, so we'll let those dry for a moment. All right, so now we have our panels, and these panels are 5 by 7, so we don't need them quite that big. So we have the ability to cut these down a little bit. So I cut these to 4 3/4 by the 6 3/4. So that means this has to go down to 4.5 by 5.5. So that gives us a little bit to cut off. So let me grab my trimmer. Okay, now we'll bring in some gray panels. I thought about doing black, but it looked a little harsh. So I'm going to go gray. All right, so here's one panel. Here's two panels. Here's our card bases. So let's glue these on. And now we'll take one of our thanks. Fine tip glue. I think I do want to put this on foam. Hold up. All right, so I'm going to cut this foam down the middle. This foam is 1/16 thick. And it's a little wide for this, so. All right, we'll put this about here. Yeah, that looks better. All right, let's do the other one. Let's see. Try and put it in about the same place. All right, let me grab some gems. All right, let's see. We can go clear. We can go sparkly. I think I'm going to go clear. Random green one stuck there. So this Simon Says Craft tacky glue. And let's see. What do we want to do? Yeah, 7's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, we'll do the same on this card. So we'll have 1 up here. Oh, I think that's good. All right, so there we have it. Using wax paper to make your embossing folder look like printed paper or pattern paper. So yeah, so look through your embossing folders and see which ones you have, and you'll always end up with 2, a positive and a negative. And yeah, so give it a try. Just remember, when you use your iron, no water in your iron. And do it for about 15 seconds or so. Put your iron on high and protect your surface with another piece of paper to make sure you don't get wax on your iron, and give it a try. So until tomorrow, stay crafty.